Good evening and welcome to a meeting of the Chesapeake School Board. There is a printed agenda located at the back of the room for those who wish to follow along. Roll call, Dr. Smith.
Mr. Elijah Colon,
Here.
Miss Malia Huddle, Mr. John McCormick,
Here.
Mr. Norman Poole,
Here.
Dr. Amanda Quillen,
Here.
Mrs. Angie Swigert,
Here.
Mrs. Amanda Walker,
Here.
Mr. Mike Lamonia, Vice Chair,
Here.
Mrs. Kim Scott, Chair.
Here. The next item is the adoption of the agenda. Does the superintendent or any board member wish to add or delete an item from the agenda?
Madam Chair, no items to add to the agenda, but we will need a closed session for personnel matters.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Cologne. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now go into the closed portion of our meeting. I'll ask Vice Chair Lamonia to read the language to take us into closed.
Chair Scott, I move that the board should convene in closed session pursuant to the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711, subsection A1, for discussion and consideration of personnel matters, including administrative appointments.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Swigert. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We are now in closed session. Vice Chair Lamonia, would you please read the statement to bring us back into open session?
Chair Scott, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Cologne. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have items resulting from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to present the following administrative appointment for board approval. Mrs. Lindsay Gove from Special Education Administrator to Supervisor of Exceptional Learning, School Administration Building, effective March 9th, 2026, of course, with board approval.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
There being no additional items resulting from the closed session, we will move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, we will observe a moment of silence. Afterwards, I'll ask Brody Spivey, a fifth grader from Great Bridge Intermediate School, to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able. All right, Brody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank Brody and his family and Mrs. Sabato, the principal of Great Bridge Intermediate, for being with us tonight. A fun fact about Brody: he plays baseball with the Tidewater Drillers. He is a pitcher, and sometimes he plays outfield, so that tells you he has a very strong arm. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Brody, and thank you to the Spivey family. We appreciate you. Next on the agenda is awards and recognitions. Is the Chesapeake Middle School League's Winter Champions. Dr. Smith.
Thank you very much, Chair Scott. Tonight, we are recognizing many of our Winter Chesapeake champions at the middle school level. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Paul Wilson, who is our Director of Student Support Services, to the podium. He'll facilitate the awards for these students.
Department. Tonight, we are excited to celebrate the achievements and successes of the students and coaches in Chesapeake Public Schools who earned championships in the Chesapeake Middle School League this past winter. Tonight, we will celebrate those students who are crowned champions for the city in speech, debate, wrestling, boys basketball, and girls basketball. We will recognize these students and coaches in 3 different groups tonight, so let's get started. Our first group of students and coaches won an individual CMSL championship in speech and debate this past winter. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. For speech individual champions from Hickory Middle School, we have Brielle Tanksley, first place in prose. And the coaches are Danielle Carawan and Shonda Sigich. From Crestwood Middle School, we have Mariah Tillman, who got first place in poetry. The coach is Shirley Dotting and Ashana Moore. From Great Bridge Middle School, we have Avika Vikas, first place in oratory. The coach is Taylor Trexler. In debate individual champions, we have Erilyn Grant from Jolliffe Middle School, first place for the Hampton Roads House. The coach is Ryan Brown. And also from Jolliffe Middle School, Finnegan Mayfield, first place, Tidewater House, and overall Student Senate Speaker. And the coach is Ryan Brown. If there are any family members, staff members, coaches, or supporters in the audience to celebrate the accomplishments of these students and coaches, please stand at this time to be recognized by the board. Congratulations to our CMSL speech and debate individual champions and their coaches. It's now time for you to move to the right to meet the members of the school board. Our second group of students and coaches won an individual CMSL championship in wrestling this past winter. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. From Crestwood Middle School, we have Kendall Hargrove, first place, 157 pounds, and the coach is Troy Simmons. From Great Bridge Middle School, we have James Jacob, first place, 74 pounds. Luke Miller, first place, 86 pounds. Hayden Archbell, first place, 108 pounds. Riker Coley, first place, 115 pounds. Jackson Carey, first place, 122 pounds. Luke Flowers, first place, 143 pounds. Aaron McDonald, first place, 150 pounds. And Lazarus Zanovis, first place, 220 pounds. And the coach is PJ Newman. From Hickory Middle School, we have Carter Workman, first place, 92 pounds. Jonathan Kraus, first place, 103 pounds. Miles Bruin, first place, 175 pounds, and the coach is Dennis Bruin. From Hugo Owens Middle School, we have Eli Barrett, first place, 80 pounds. Morrison Motley, first place, 95 pounds. Bryson Savy, first place, 136 pounds, and the coach is Sean Katz. And from Jolliffe Middle School, we have Javen Crawford, first place, 129 pounds, and the coach is Stephen Graham. If there are any family members, staff members, coaches, or supporters in the audience to celebrate the accomplishments of these students and coaches, please stand at this time to be recognized by the board. Congratulations to our CMSL individual city champions in wrestling and their coaches. You can now move to the right to meet the members of the school board. Our final group of students and coaches won a team championship in CMSL Winter Sports. In speech, our CMSL champions were the Hawks of Hickory Middle School. They won the city championship with a combined score of 25 points. They are represented by their team captains and head coaches tonight. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. The team captains are Layla Okorin, Brielle Tanksley, and Skylar Twyman. And the coaches are Danielle Carawan and Shonda Sigich. In debate, our city champions were the Jaguars of Jolliffe Middle School. Jolliffe won the debate championship with a combined score of 2,281 points. They are represented by their team captains and head coach tonight. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. The team captains are Erilyn Grant, Finnegan Mayfield, and Layla McGee. And the coach is Ryan Brown. In wrestling, our city champions were the Wildcats of Great Bridge Middle School with a combined score of 318.5 points. They are represented by their team captains and head coach tonight. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. Team captains are Blake Costales, Drew Miller, Jacob Ostrander, and the coach is PJ Newman. The CMSL boys basketball champions were the Tigers of Oscar Smith Middle School. They won the city championship with a score of 50-49 in double overtime, a nail biter, over the runner-up Greenbrier Middle School. They are represented by their team captains and head coach tonight. Students and coaches, please take one step forward when I call your name. Team captains are William Hurst Jr., Christian Smith, and Taj Williams, and the coach is Otis Williams. Finally, the CMSL girls basketball champions were the Mustangs of Hugo Owens Middle School. They won the city championship with a score of 41-33 in overtime over runner-up Crestwood Middle School. They are represented by their team captains and head coaches tonight. Please take one step forward when I call your name. Team captains are Madeline Drayton, Bailey Roberts, Milan Stenfield, and the coach is Terrence Winston. If there are any family members, staff members, coaches, or supporters in the audience to celebrate the accomplishments of these winter champions, please stand at this time to be recognized by the board. Congratulations to our CMSL Winter Championship teams and their coaches. You can now move to the right to meet the members of the school board. Thank you, Madam Chair. This concludes my presentation for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We will now move on to the opportunities for public comment. Tonight, we have 2 opportunities for public comment. First, we will hold the final public hearing on the superintendent's proposed budgets. That will be followed by the hearing of citizens. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who have requested to speak under either of these opportunities this evening?
Yes, Chair Scott. We have 0 citizens requesting to speak under the public hearing for the budget, but we do have 2 citizens requesting time under hearing of citizens.
Thank you. I want to thank those speakers who signed up to address the board this evening. As a reminder, there are 2 ways that citizens can request time to speak at the meeting. You can call the clerk's office before 12 p.m. the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting. All in-person requests to speak must be submitted to the deputy clerk 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium. We would also like to ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call the first speaker in accordance with the established order of the public comment opportunities.
Yes, under hearing of citizens, I'd like to invite speaker number 1 to the podium. If you'll please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Ernie Stokes, Moyock, North Carolina. We just moved. So. Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Cotton, and other distinguished staff, I am grateful to hold one of the most rewarding teaching positions in our school system, teaching music to the talented young musicians that I am fortunate enough to call my students. As I have for many years, I stand in front of you to wish everyone a very happy Music in Our Schools Month. For 41 years, Music in Our Schools Month has celebrated the vital role music plays in our school and our lives. Music education shapes who our students become. When a child learns music, they are learning far more than notes on a page. They are developing discipline, creativity, collaboration, resilience. They are learning not everything has instant gratification, that you have to work hard over time before the effort pays off. The students are finding confidence in their voice. I remember a high school percussionist who struggled in other classes, but in band, they were a trusted leader and peer mentor. Research consistently shows that students involved in music perform better academically, attend school regularly, develop stronger social skills, and build deeper connections to their communities. At the elementary level, we plant the seeds of musical passion, knowledge, and creativity. Our middle and high school teachers then grow these seeds and guide the young musicians forward, from curious beginners to accomplished musicians and performers. As music educators, we do more than teach music and rhythms. We build lasting relationships with our students, making sure they feel successful and accepted in our classrooms. We watch them grow not just as musicians, but as confident, creative young people who become members of the community. We celebrate our students' victories, we support them through their challenges, and we deeply care about their well-being, even when they're no longer our students. I remember the student who wrote me a note in 5th grade thanking me for giving her confidence. Years later, this student wrote me a letter stating, "I one day hope to be able to inspire my future students the way Mr. Stokes has inspired me." Music is thriving in our schools, and you are always invited to connect with our music community. Our students showcase their musical talents across multiple levels, through school performances, all-city, district, and all-Virginia ensembles, and performing at state and national conferences. Thank you, School Board Chair Scott, Mr. Colon, and Dr. Joppi for coming to All-City Elementary Chorus last month. I hope you were inspired by the 115 elementary musicians who worked tirelessly to put on an amazing concert. Chesapeake music teachers remain committed to inspiring our young musicians, and in turn being inspired by them. Music is alive and well in Chesapeake Public Schools. Thank you for your time, your dedication to our students, and your support of music education. Happy Music in Our Schools Month.
Speaker number 2, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Charlotte Worley. I'm a lifelong learner in Chesapeake and a product of Chesapeake Public Schools. I come here today for one thing, and that's to tell you thank you. I feel like I spent the entire weekend with this board, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and I'm getting all worked up over the positiveness, and then Director Stokes comes before and talks about coming out. and spending time with our children. It was wonderful. So I just want to tell you thank you for coming out and being part of us. I won't name any names. I'll get confused and leave someone out. But it was absolutely wonderful. So have a great evening. I hope your meeting is very productive, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as one of your teachers, as well as with CEA. Thank you.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Worley, and you look lovely as usual. And to Mr. Stokes, I know I speak on behalf of Mr. Colon and Dr. Joppy, that the All-City Chorus performance was amazing. It was a really well done. I was impressed by the harmonies for such young students. It was a great music selection. You really, truly are a treasure to Chesapeake Public Schools, and your passion for music is very much appreciated. So thank you so much for all that you do. All right, so thank you for sharing your comments. Our practice is to receive information. However, we don't usually engage, except I just did. So thank you for being here. We're going to now move on to the superintendent's, We will now consider the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Swigert. Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Quillen. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Moving on to the information agenda, the first item this evening is the 2026 Pay and Benefits Calendar. Mrs. Glod.
Good evening, Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lamonia, and members of the school board. Tonight, I will review this year's pay and benefits calendar, how it has changed from the prior calendar, and what these changes mean for resigning employees. First, I'll provide an overview of the key attributes of the new pay schedule and how it changed from the prior schedule. Then we'll take a look at the 2026 pay and benefits calendar. After that, I'll explain how the new schedule affects employees who are resigning or retiring. Finally, I'll summarize how these changes help us comply with regulations and reduce potential risks for our school district. As we've shared throughout the past year, this year's pay schedule is very different from years past. Previously, employees were paid twice a month on the 15th and 30th. Now employees receive pay every other Friday on a bi-weekly schedule. Contract employees used to be paid for their work up to date of pay. Now on payday, they are paid for the work performed 2 weeks ago. The option for 10 and 11-month employees to choose their pay over 10, 11, or 12 months has been removed. Now all contract employees will be paid over 12 months starting in fiscal year 26-27. Under the old pay schedule, benefits premiums used to be deducted from September to June paychecks, totaling 20 premium deductions. This resulted in higher premiums to cover premiums for the summer months. With the current pay schedule, premiums are deducted from each paycheck except for the third paycheck in May and October. This means employees pay premiums for the benefits they are currently receiving. Not only does this schedule make the collection of premiums more straightforward, it also helps ensure compliance and reduce risk, which we will talk about in just a few minutes. This slide shows our payroll and benefits calendar for 2026. The columns provide 3 key pieces of information: the paycheck date, the work period it covers, and the benefits linked to that pay cycle. Benefits coverage is linked to each pay period and is divided into half-month increments depending on whether deductions happen in the first or second half of the month. In months with 3 pay periods, like May, there is a benefits holiday. This means the paycheck issued on May 29th will not include benefit deductions, but coverage will still continue without interruption. The main point here is that pay and benefits coverage no longer extend beyond employment as they did in the past years for resigning employees. Now let's take a look at what this exactly means for resigning employees. The next 2 slides provide benefit coverage and dates for different resigning employee scenarios. It compares our current practice to our prior practice. For this first scenario, we are looking at benefits coverage and dates for a resigning employee who completes their contract in June but would not be returning the following school year. Under the old calendar, we collected 20 benefit premium payments from September to June with no premium collections during the summer. Because of this structure, non-retiree resignees and retirees under age 65 who completed their contract continue to receive benefits through August 31st. This occurred because a portion of the summer premiums had already been prepaid through deductions taken earlier in the year beginning in January. However, employees age 65 and older who completed their contracts transitioned to Medicare coverage beginning July 1st in accordance with Medicare eligibility and coordination rules. Now, with the current schedule, 24 premium payments are collected throughout the calendar year, including the summer months. In other words, benefit premiums and coverage align with one another because premiums are no longer collected in advance. As a result, benefits coverage will now end on June 30th for non-retiring resignees, retirees under age 65, and retirees age 65 and older whose employment ends at the close of the school year. For those who are eligible, CPS pre-65 retiree benefits or Medicare retiree benefits will begin on July 1st. Employees who are not eligible for retiree coverage may consider other options for continued health coverage, such as COBRA, private or marketplace insurance, or coverage through a new employer or a spouse's employer plan. For the second scenario, we're looking at benefits coverage and dates for a resigning employee who leaves or retires before fulfilling their contract. For these resignees, what happens to their benefits depends on when they resign. If a resignee is not retiring, benefits continue depending on what the final paycheck covers, either the 15th or the end of the month. If the resignee is retiring before age 65, or if they are 65 and older, they will retire at the end of the month. Then CPS's pre-65 retiree benefits or Medicare retiree benefits will begin on the first day of the next month for those who are eligible. You'll see here that there was no change from the prior practice to the current practice for resignees who do not fulfill their contracts. We know communication is key. Communication about the new pay schedule started in March of last year. At that time, leadership announced plans to launch UKG on July 1st and the transition to the new pay schedule. The pay calendar has been available on the UKG platform throughout the year, and the 2026 benefit deductions were shared to employees during open enrollment in October. Retirees who have notified HR about their retirement plans have also received information about the new calendar and how it affects their benefits. Based on prior years, we expect about 125 10-month employees who are not eligible for retirement to not return next school year. We hope the timing of this presentation and future coming communications will assist them in planning ahead for the next steps in their journeys. While we know the new calendar requires 10-month employees not returning to CPS to have plans in place for benefit coverage once they leave CPS, offering benefits coverage through August for those who have resigned or retired could create eligibility inconsistencies, plan compliance issues, and increase risk exposure. The new pay and benefits calendar better positions CPS with compliance, reduces risks, and ensures we are good stewards of public money. The new calendar meets the Affordable Care Act requirements by ensuring that coverage and reporting accurately reflect active employment, which lowers our compliance risk. It also aligns plan eligibility with health plan documents, improving the plan's consistency as well as integrity. Furthermore, the new calendar reduces the financial risks associated with inactive employees, medical claims, and stop-loss exposure. Additionally, the collection of premiums is now simplified and easy to understand. Premium deductions align with premium coverage. In summary, the new pay and benefits calendar offers a clean structure that links employment status, benefit eligibility, and reporting. This sets us up for long-term stability, protecting active employees and CPS from higher healthcare costs. This concludes this evening's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
I don't see any questions. Thank you, Mrs. Glad. The next item is the 2026 Summer School Information. Dr. Joppy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the key priorities in our strategic plan is our learners, which focuses on ensuring every student has access to meaningful learning opportunities that support academic growth, readiness, and success. An important part of that commitment is providing high-quality learning experiences beyond the traditional school year. So this evening, I'm pleased to introduce Mrs. Kimberly McGrath, our Director of Academic Support. Mrs. McGrath works closely with our schools to design and implement programs that support student achievement and provide targeted academic opportunities for our learners. Mrs. McGrath.
Thank you, Dr. Joppy. Good evening, Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lamonia, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Cotton, and cabinet officials. Tonight, I aim to provide you with a glimpse into the upcoming summer educational endeavor tailored for approximately 3,500 of our students. The Summer Learning 2025 program demonstrated a strong commitment to student growth and achievement across all grade levels. The program's foundation was built on early childhood success, serving 1,700 students, elementary students pre-K through 5th grade. Middle school students also benefited from specialized enrichment, with 80 students attending the SMA and IB Academy camps, and about 150 students participating in STEM camp. High schoolers utilized the Chesapeake Virtual Academy to great effect. 615 students earned initial credits, effectively freeing up their future schedules for advanced coursework or ensuring they stay on track for graduation. In total, the summer session reached 4,166 students across the entire pre-K through 12th grade spectrum, bolstered by a successful bridge to kindergarten partnerships with the United Way. Additionally, 67 students completed their final requirements over the summer to officially graduate. Finally, surveys indicated high satisfaction with the extended daily hours, which allowed all programs to wrap up at the end of July. This year, our focus is on accelerating academic growth, advancing literacy, and providing opportunities for enrichment and CTE exploration. We remain committed to ensuring graduation readiness, providing intentional support for our exceptional and English learners. The summer programs are a collaborative effort that ensures meaningful learning opportunities for all of our students. Summer program is a condensed program, but planning for next year and next session begins immediately after the current one ends. Lisa Delisle, supervisor, coordinates the program with the Department of Academic Support and works closely with the departments listed here. We are proud to offer a comprehensive summer learning program across all levels, included targeted intervention, specialized support for exceptional and English learners, and enrichment opportunities. To provide students and staff a necessary reset, the school year concludes on June 16th. We have maintained the 1-week transition break before instruction begins. To preserve instructional integrity within this condensed calendar, we will continue with a 30-minute extension to the secondary school day. This proven schedule allows middle school students to successfully complete 2 9-day sessions and ensures high school students have the rigorous instructional time required for online coursework and credit recovery. Our top priority is to provide high-quality learning experiences that close academic gaps, offering strong support for exceptional and English learners, and expand enrichment opportunities. Let's begin exploring our elementary summer learning. The elementary summer program, running June 29th to July 30th, Monday through Thursday from 7:35 to 11:35 a.m., at 6 elementary schools aims to bridge learning gaps and offer enrichment experiences for students while introducing rising fifth graders to career and technical education. A key focus for summer 2026 is reading. We're very proud to have 2 reading specialists per site that we started a few years ago, providing targeted small group instruction. The CTE program allows students to explore career and technical education, elective options offered in the middle school, and will be held at 4 middle school sites. Specialized instruction will be available for English and language learners. Now let's take a look at our middle school program. From June 29th to July 30th, middle school students can participate in 2 9-day summer learning sessions held from 8:45 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. at Great Bridge, Indian River, or Oscar Smith High Schools. The program focuses on targeted academic support to address learning gaps, with particular emphasis again on reading. Each site will have 2 reading specialists providing small group instruction, and specialized services will be available for English and exceptional learners. CTE Academy enrichment will also be offered. Oh, I'm sorry. High school summer learning. Should I go back? The high school summer learning program aims to provide students with a chance to enroll in courses for initial credit or to retake courses they did not pass during the regular school year, ensuring they can stay on track with their graduation cohort. This summer, both in-person and virtual programs are available, with a continued focus on in-person classes for summer 2026. Students enrolled in credit recovery and SOL quick review courses will receive their instruction in person. Exceptional and English learners will also attend in person. Chesapeake Virtual Academy will offer online credit-bearing courses. The fee is $300 with a reduced rate for students who receive free and reduced lunch or are retaking required academy courses. SOL Quick Review will provide targeted instruction and support for students retaking end-of-course SOL tests. Credit Recovery for grades 9 through 12 will offer in-person sessions and alternate days for English, math, history, science, and economics and personal finance. Credit Recovery teachers will facilitate learning modules, and tutors will provide individualized support. As I conclude our presentation on Summer Learning 2026, I want to highlight our unwavering commitment to providing high-quality, engaging learning experiences for all students. This year's summer programs are carefully designed to accelerate learning, address academic gaps, and strengthen literacy development while ensuring strong support for our exceptional and English language learners. We are offering a balance of targeted interventions, credit recovery, opportunities, and enrichment experiences, including specialized programs like the CTE High School Academy camps and STEM camp to keep students engaged and learning throughout the summer. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and I'll take any questions.
Mrs. Walker.
Just a quick question. How do you determine the sites of where summer school's held? And do we by chance look at past enrollment? Does that play a role at all in determining that?
We do. So the sites are determined by school leadership and school plans. They look at where we have projects going on, and then also who had it last year. We try to keep it, spread the wealth, make sure that everyone, has an opportunity to have it.
Okay.
What was the second? Yep.
No, that was it. I was curious if it ever rotates
does.
based on the previous year, if we look
Absolutely.
at enrollment and homeschools, and does it change? Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Thank you,
right.
Mrs.
Thank
McGrath.
you.
All right, moving on to the action agenda. The only item is the superintendent's proposed budgets. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Tonight, we will review the 26-27 superintendent's proposed budgets. This proposal reflects our continued commitment to supporting student success and investing in our staff while aligning with the priorities outlined in our strategic plan. At this time, I see she's already there. Our Chief Financial Officer, Mrs. Glaude, will give you an overview. Of course, we provided a detailed presentation in February, but she'll give you an overview and go over some of the details, and then following her presentation, I'll return to request board action on the budget. Thank you, Mrs. Glaude.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lemonia, and school board members, this evening marks the second public hearing and work session for the 26-27 superintendent's proposed operating, categorical, and special funds budget. This evening's presentation will recap the latest budget information from the state, provide a brief overview of the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27, and the summary of the use of one-time funds. We will then review the next steps in the budget process. After that, we will take a moment to address any questions you may have, and finally, we will conclude with a request for action from the board. Let's get started with the fiscal year 26-27 state budget recap. As reported at the February 23rd board meeting, the House and Senate have released the proposed amendments to Governor Youngkin's budget on February 22nd, Budget Sunday. The items highlighted in yellow were not included in my initial state budget update, but after reviewing the amendments further, I see I missed them and I have included them here. The House's proposed budget bill includes a $1,500 bonus for funded SOQ instructional and support positions effective June 1st, 2026, with flexibility to distribute the bonus in fiscal year 2027. It also includes a proposal for one-time flexible funding and increases special education add-on. Additionally, the House plans to expand the at-risk add-on to address students' physical and mental health needs. The Senate's proposal includes the same $1,500 bonus effective June 1st as the House's bill, but increases fiscal year 26-27's compensation adjustment to 3%. It includes an increase in special education and at-risk student programs. Furthermore, the Senate includes additional sales tax revenue generated from data center tax reform. Please remember that these amendments have been sent to the other chamber for further review and consideration. Once a consensus is reached, the General Assembly will present their budget to Governor Spanberger, who will then review it. She can either approve it as is or amend it and return it to the General Assembly. This process will continue until an agreement is reached between the Governor and the General Assembly. As we assess the funding implications of the current proposals, we anticipate that the upcoming bonus distribution will amount to $4.7 million. Additionally, for fiscal year 26-27, we project an estimated $16.5 million under the House scenario and approximately $5 million under the Senate scenario. While we have the proposed bills from both chambers, it's important to recognize that there's still significant work ahead in Richmond. Therefore, it is recommended that we continue to base our revenue assumptions on Governor Youngkin's proposed budget from December 2025 until Governor Spanberger approves and releases a final budget. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will request the board to adopt the superintendent's proposed budget for 26-27. Now, we'll take a quick review of the fiscal year 26-27 superintendent's proposed budget. Here we see the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget and how it compares to this year's appropriation. The proposed budget totals $855 million, an increase of $10.4 million, or 1.2% over the current year. In the following slides, we'll review the drivers of change of the proposed operating budget, grants, and special funds. We'll start with the operating budget. The operating fund will see a $10.3 million increase in personnel and fringe benefits, which includes a compensation adjustment of 3%, an additional 1% on top of the 2% adjustment provided by the state. This change raises the starting teacher salary to $57,000 or $57,413,000. Additionally, the increase will support the creation of 9 new school-based positions and the reclassification of 7 existing positions. Given a projected 10% health care cost trend for 2027, health care costs are expected to rise by $8.5 million. Purchase services expenditures will increase by $6.1 million over the fiscal year 25-26 budget. This growth is driven primarily by continued support for building maintenance and repairs, right-sizing private transportation funding for special needs and homeless students to reflect actual costs, and continued AV replacements in school auditoriums and gyms. It also includes the continued funding for elementary school resource deputies at $2 million, as the level of support will remain unchanged. Other charges are expected to increase by approximately $2.4 million over the current fiscal year budget. This increase is primarily due to right-sizing expenditures for utilities to reflect actual costs. Additionally, a lot lease is needed for portable storage as we reduce portable usage and benefit from the additional capacity resulting from the opening of Crestwood Elementary School, the addition of Southeastern Elementary School, and in coming years, the new elementary school at Culpeper Landing. Materials and supply expenditures are projected to increase by $2 million. This increase is primarily due to new doors and hardware planned for Great Bridge High School, LED lighting upgrades at Oscar Smith High School, and miscellaneous incidentals anticipated for the new elementary school at Culpeper Landing. Capital outlay is proposed to decrease by $4.1 million due to primarily to the right sizing of equipment and furniture, the elimination of new and replacement portables, and the transfer of funding for elementary school security foyers to the CIP. These declines are partially offset by the implementation of a bus replacement program in which we will begin purchasing buses regularly through leases rather than in significantly large one-time purchases. Additionally, transportation will pilot multimodal transportation services, and if proven successful, this initiative will reduce private transportation costs currently incurred today. Overall, grant revenue is declining by $3.8 million. This decline is driven primarily by the expiration of Virginia's All-In grant, which was designed to combat pandemic-era learning loss and chronic absenteeism. Special funds are increasing by $2.4 million, with updates to the funds aligned with historical expenditures and the exclusion of one-time purchases included in fiscal year 25-26. Now I'll turn it over to Dr. Cotton to review the use of one-time funds.
Thank you, Mrs. Glad. Just so you know, she's finished the recap of the budget, but at the same time, we do like to ask for board approval for the use of one-time funds. So now at this time, I'll recap the proposal to utilize these one-time funds. These funds will be used to support non-recurring projects in the operating budget and capital projects in our CIP. This and the following slide detail the strategic use of one-time operating funds for critical initiatives outside our regular revenue streams. And of course, we shared these with you when we presented the budget in February. A strategic allocation enhances division-wide infrastructure, including new doors, hardware at Great Bridge High School, which you heard about, as well as LED lighting at Oscar Smith High School. Funds also cover AV equipment replacements in auditoriums and gyms and anticipated needs at the new Culpeper Landing School. Safety and security projects remain a priority, as reflected across both slides that you'll see presented here. We recommend allocating one-time funding for several additional projects that focus on infrastructure improvements, equipment modernizations and upgrades, and safety enhancements. These items are prioritized to ensure the most effective use of the designated resources. And of course, since these funds are not funds that we can anticipate from year to year, it's a good use for one-time expenditures. Our capital improvement plan utilizes one-time funds for several key initiatives. We remain committed to replacing high school fields. I know that you know that we're upgrading our football fields at each high school to turf fields. I know that we've started that project this year. We want to continue to do that several each year moving forward. We also want to upgrade the tracks as well while we're doing that. And with only 2 schools remaining after these proposed projects, if the board approves this, then we'll just have 2 fields left to plan for. We will also shift major maintenance and repairs to one-time funding, reducing reliance on the lockbox funding. Finally, we plan to continue to construct secure vestibule entrances for all elementary schools to boost safety. You know that this is going to take several years. We're trying to do at least 3 each year until we complete all of them. As you all know, all of our new elementary schools have those built in. In a few minutes, we will request the board's approval to submit the one-time fund appropriation request to the city. We have to do that for them to approve the use of those funds. But of course, it first requires your approval. But looking ahead, I plan to provide priorities for additional revenue funding on April 20th. We'll be planning for a work session. Typically, what will happen is we haven't made any predictions yet because there's such a wide range of possibilities right now. But when we get that narrowed down to where we find out exactly how much additional funds we're going to receive, I'm working with my team to develop priorities. And of course, we'll certainly be taking school board input on that as we move forward. But hopefully on April 20th, we can share some of those priorities with you and receive board feedback at that time. And on May 18th, we will balance to the City Council's budget appropriation and review a final reconciliation of changes since the proposed budget and request board adoption of the budget. And many of you have been through this process, so you know that we always have tweaks that happen at the end. We just want to be ready to make those recommendations, and we want to make sure that our recommendations are in line with what the board would like to do as well. So before proceeding to a request for board action on the budget, Madam Chair, we'll open it up for any questions for Mrs. Glott or myself.
I don't see any questions.
Okay, thank you. And with that, at this time, I'd like to make two requests for board action. The first, I request board action to adopt the proposed budget as the school board's proposed FY 26-27 operating, categorical, and special funds budget.
I'm so sorry, I missed a question. There is a question by Mrs. Walker.
I apologize, no, that was my fault.
sorry.
No worries.
So I do have a question, because it's kind of bugging me that it's still in there. I was under the impression that the Sheriff's Department was taking over the cost of the elementary school resource officers.
Not at this time. Currently, we are fully funding that program, and there has not been any indication that they are going to fund the program. So as far as moving forward with next year, we have planned to fully fund the program. Of course, we still need to have conversations with the city and the sheriff's office to see if it's a possibility where we can share more costs. But at this time, we are fully funding that program.
Okay, so then I just would like to make a request as we go down to that process and looking at it more. In my opinion, if it's not going to be fully funded and we are going to have to fund it, then we should do a bid like we would do for everything else. I mean, we have to be a steward of the tax dollar, and so I think we should put it out to bid for external security companies to bid on it as well.
Yes, and we appreciate your feedback, and of course, I would need direction from the board on that if that's what you would like us to do. But I do know that we are looking at that model to determine how we're going to handle that moving forward, because I know we've had some discussions about that.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Cotton, do you want to?
Yes, let me rewind. Okay, so I would like to request board action to adopt the proposed budget as the school board's budget. It becomes your budget, obviously, if you approve the FY 26-27 operating, categorical, and special funds budget.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. So moved. Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion?
I've got a
All right,
comment
Mr.
to make.
McCormick.
And Ms. Glott, I appreciate all the work that you put in, and Dr. Cotton and your entire team on the budget. The budget, I think, every year is a difficulty of balancing competing priorities, way more needs than you have resources, and that's never going to change. There's always going to be more needs than resources, and we should continue to, continue asking the city, the state, the federal government for more funding. And to me, in looking at this budget and every budget that I try to look at, is trying to figure out, what's the most important priority, and there's no perfect answer to that. You ask probably everyone at this table, and they'll give you a different answer on, what's the biggest priority, and what, how do you meet the needs. And Ms. Walker brought up a good point, and one of the one of the questions I've been asking, and one of the priorities that I have is related to the deputy program and trying to fund that. With two students of my own in elementary school and two more going to be in elementary school, I see the importance that the deputies play in the schools. Not just from a security standpoint. I mean, we have a police officer here in the back. They clearly provide an additional security layer, but from internally being able to support the teachers if there's an issue, being able to support the principal, if there's an issue, and being able to provide a level of authority, of de-escalation, and of training that is not within, the primary role of a teacher or a principal, although they often have to play that role. But having a trained officer of some sort is crucial to have, and I think we've, as a school board, taken great steps over the last couple of years to implement it. I'd love to see it funded by the Sheriff's Department, like Ms. Walker mentioned. I'd love to see the city fund it, and I think we should continue those conversations. But in my opinion, and this isn't to say, I don't have any issue with how we're handling this budget, and I have no problem with the things that we're funding, but I would have chosen to at least take the burden on the school to fund it for now while we are trying to have it funded by the city or by the sheriff, and it would have been a priority of mine to do that. So my hope is, by bringing this up, is that perhaps when we hire a new superintendent and when we begin to work on next year's budget and we work with a new sheriff and the sheriff's department, we have a lot of new that we can really create. We can make this a priority in having officers in every elementary school. I think it's crucial. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no other comments. The motion has been made by Ms. Huddle, and it has been seconded by, who was seconded? I'm so sorry, I forgot. Mr. Poole. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
All right, Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with a vote of 8-1, with Board Member McCormick voting in opposition.
All right, Dr. Cotton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the second item would be to request board action to approve the appropriation of the one-time funds as described.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Swigert. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Cologne. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members. I see a hand up.
Ms. Huddle?
I would like to request that we consider, should we get unanticipated funds, additional funds, once the budget issues in Richmond are resolved, which happily it looks like they will have a budget on time this year. Thank you, General Assembly. Hope I didn't jinx it. But that if we find out we are getting additional funds, that we consider Mr. McCormick's request as a priority with those funds.
Is that it? All right, thank you. And then thank you, Ms. Scott. And I just want to add that I appreciate seeing the funding for vestibules in there. I think it's important to remind the board and to remind others that we had funding at one point to do vestibules in more schools, but we had to divert that funding due to something unexpected and emergent happening in one of our high schools. So I'm happy to see that that's a priority again, because we do need vestibules in our elementary schools. So I'm happy to see that going forward. Mr. McCormick and Ms. Huddle have brought up great points, and we'll have opportunity to discuss additional funds when that happens. So thank you so much.
And just for the record, I wanted to clarify when I saw the hand up, just to be sure. So it is, motion carries with all board members voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and thank you, Ms. God. We will now move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. March celebrations continue. Recently, we celebrated National School Breakfast Week, School Social Work Week, and National World Language Week, and of course, as I mentioned at the last meeting, Fine and Performing Arts Month, which Mr. Stokes highlighted earlier this evening. With that, thank you again for time to present my superintendent spotlight tonight. I cannot believe that we are already in March, and I am excited to share some of the exciting things that have been happening in our schools as we speed toward springtime. Throughout the month of February, our schools celebrated Black History Month in their own creative and unique ways. In my last spotlight, I highlighted some of the amazing things our schools did during the first half of February, but we saw some incredible things happen in the last few weeks, too. From theatrical productions to living history museums, our students did a great job of finding fun, engaging, and creative ways to honor Black history. As always, thank you to our students, staff, schools, and community members who played a role in making these experiences inspiring, engaging, and empowering. As the calendar flipped to March, we also began celebrating National Reading Month As many of you have noticed, you're getting invited to read for several classrooms. I hope you accept those invitations. To kick off the celebrations, 2 of our elementary schools received book donations from community partners. At Camelot Elementary, the Chesapeake Virginia Beach alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated donated children's books and a painted bookshelf to the school's library. For 4 years, this chapter has supported our Title I schools with diverse titles, highlighting the lives of notable African Americans. At Hickory Elementary, the Cody S. Childers Memorial Fund donated military-themed children's books to the school's library. Cody Childers was a 2009 graduate of Grassfield High School and also attended Hickory Elementary. His memorial fund keeps his memory alive through donations like this. Thank you to these organizations for supporting our schools and for inspiring our young readers with your generous donations. Even our older learners received some inspiration recently during our district's 4th annual Teen Summit. The event invited student leaders and community partners from across the city to come together and share their wisdom. Middle and high school students experienced a day full of learning and walked away with valuable knowledge. The event addressed topics including bullying, social media, and more. The event featured keynote speaker Dr. Eugene Holloman. The former JMU All-Conference running back took the stage to provide inspiration and insight to our teens. This event would not have been possible without the FACE team and all of our community partners and student leaders who made this year's Teen Summit another great success. And just to point out, I do meet with the student leadership, the SCA, throughout the year, and this is their big project that they work on all year. So our students did an outstanding job leading these sessions. Our community partners played another big part in providing our teens with another engaging learning opportunity at our district's 4th annual Take a Peek Job Shadowing Day. The event allowed juniors and seniors to peek into the world of work after high school and the many possibilities that are available to them right here in Chesapeake. Students spent the morning gaining firsthand experience and exploring their future career paths with local professionals. Thank you to the local businesses, the City of Chesapeake mentors, who opened their doors to guide and inspire our students. Our students are lucky to have so many fantastic role models here in our district. One of them is Miss Emily Walcott, the Director of Bands at Oscar Smith High School. Miss Walcott was recently named as the winner of the Manilow Music Teacher Award, recognizing her as an outstanding music educator and an inspirational leader for her students. With the award, Miss Walcott earned Oscar Smith Band Program $10,000 to be used for instruments and band supplies. Thank you to the Manilow Music Project for recognizing one of our amazing teachers, and congratulations to Miss Walcott on your well-deserved honor. To wrap up tonight, I wanted to give a shout out to our Power of the Peak honorees for the month of February. Congratulations to Ashley Chambers, Secretary at Deep Creek Central Elementary, Katie Pate Fulcher, teacher at Western Branch Middle, and Dr. Michelle Farabee, principal at Crestwood Middle, for being our well-deserved winners in the support, teach, and lead categories. Our next winners will be announced at the end of March, so don't forget to nominate your own Power of the Peak winner on our employee recognitions page, and that's a blast to go and surprise them at work with this award. Madam Chair, members of the board, that completes my spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. The last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Any board member have items to bring before this group? Mr. McCormick?
I wanted to give a quick shout out to Western Branch Middle School. My wife and I and our 2 oldest daughters had the pleasure of attending Finding Nemo Jr. Production there. We went there Friday night, and actually board member Cologne was there as well. And I was blown away. I mean, Kyle Cook directed, and those kids did amazing. I mean, it was so good. It was, so if anyone's looking for some great production, we had a speaker about music earlier. Western Branch really does a great job with the arts. And so I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Western Branch Middle School and Kyle Cook. Thank you.
I agree. Mr. Cook does an outstanding job. I didn't see Finding Nemo, but I did see their production of Aladdin, and I really thought a genie came out of the bottle. It was great. So, seeing as no more member comments tonight, I will call this meeting adjourned.